From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello, and welcome to Loyola News Chicago. I'm Bridget Sheeran.
And I'm Megan Carabelli. The Illinois primary election is over, but Loyola's election is in full swing. Election season has begun at Loyola, and students are vying to fill the role of USGA president. This week was the first debate between candidates Flavio Bravo and Philip John Puso. Bravo is a sophomore and is counting on his young age to help his appeal to younger voters.
At Creighton University, the president is a junior.
Students will have a
At
ballot
Arizona
sent
State
to their
University, the president's a junior. And we know that that is maybe one of the best parts of our platforms for change, because we won't be stressed with graduation requirements. We won't have to deal with the idea of maybe graduating and having to deal with law school applications or med school applications. But also, we don't know where we'll be at in 2 years, but we know that we'll be here on campus.
The debate, moderated by current USGA President Pedro Guerrero, was held at the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication. Several students were on hand to ask questions of the two nominees. Bravo and his running mate, Michael Fusello, are running on a platform created around 4 pillars: student awareness, uniting of the communities, and a commitment to the university's mission. While his opponent, Puso, and vice presidential candidate Samantha Juarez have created the 3 C's for their campaign. These are a commitment to an inclusive and diverse campus, cultivating sustainable initiatives, and confirming the value of an academic degree from Loyola. Puso also believes that he and running mate Juarez have the right experience to be leaders at Loyola.
One of the biggest reasons why Sam and I should be president is because of our age. Thousands of universities have been functioning successfully because of junior presidents and vice presidents, and why should we disrupt the status quo? Also, Samantha and I are residents of Chicago, and you elect officials from the place where you live and you grew up.
This was only the first debate for 2 presidential candidates. They will square off again on Monday, March 24th. Voting for USGA elections begins on March 26th, and this year there will be multiple ways to vote. Students will have a ballot sent to their Loyola email account, just like in previous years. But if students want to fill out ballots in person, there will be a booth set up in the Damon Student Center and the IC. Voting will close at midnight on Thursday, March 27th. Results will be announced the next day.
Chicago police are investigating the armed robbery of a Loyola student in Rogers Park Monday evening. The student was walking in the 1200 block of West Albion when 2 individuals approached the victim. One of the robbers waved their handgun and stole the student's wallet. The student is recovering after being hit over the head with the weapon. Police are asking anyone with more information to call 911. Campus safety reminds the Loyola community to stay alert to your surroundings, travel with a friend whenever possible, and use the 8-ride vans. The new hands-free cell phone law is being ignored by some Rogers Park drivers. Police say driving while using your cell phone is the cause of nearly 800 tickets in Rogers Park over the last few months. Devon Avenue is the busiest street for police. Numerous crashes happen at the intersection, causing many injuries. Neighborhood business owners say they worry about pedestrian customers and want police to crack down. Police say there are additional patrol cars specifically looking for people driving while using their cell phones.
The Illinois Supreme Court has struck down the state's eavesdropping law, one of the strictest laws in the nation. The law prohibited audio recordings of any person unless they gave consent, even if the recordings were in a public place. The Chicago Sun-Times reports the court found the law too broad and that it could criminalize recordings of public events. Several news stories around the world have captured attention at Loyola and in the local community. We begin our coverage with the reactions of Loyola students to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Months after protests began, Russia has made military movements in Crimea, the southern section of Ukraine. These actions have created national attention, and Ukrainians around the world are speaking out. Loyola students Yuliana Nalisnik and Mariana Kolmeitz are both freshmen of Ukrainian descent. They have been keeping in touch with family and friends still in Ukraine, but say it's been difficult and disheartening.
Definitely really hard. Like, I know in between classes I'm always like checking Facebook or like going back to my room to watch the news just to see like what's going on, because it's really heartbreaking to think that like in the 21st century like stuff like this is still going on. You'd think that since Soviet times people would have developed so much. It's heartbreaking, and like I write to family and friends, but aside from that, you know, you can't really do much besides send your support.
Yeah, and when we were learning about their independence in 1991, that was like a huge deal. And now people who were present during that time, like a lot of them, they remember that that's like such a stark difference, and we thought we came so far, and now it's kind of like going one step forward, two steps back with everything that's going on.
Juliana and Mariana are both members of the Loyola Ukrainian Society, which recently hosted a student journalist who covered the beginning of the protests in Ukraine.
Tensions in Ukraine have been building up over the last several weeks, with violent clashes in Kiev and Russian forces moving into the Crimean Peninsula. Lauren Lopez reports on the reactions of Ukrainians here in Chicago who are not happy with what's going on in their homeland.
Emotions are running high in Crimea in a standoff between Ukrainian and pro-Russian forces. In the Ukrainian village on the west side of Chicago's downtown, things seem calm on the surface, but there is unrest among the people over the developments in their homeland. With the situation in Crimea being no closer to a resolution, many Ukrainians here in Chicago are very upset. Roman Zayats represents the anti-Russian sentiment here.
Russia is no good not only for Ukraine, but Russia is no good for the whole world. As long as Putin is going to be there in power, there's not going to be peace in the world.
Zayats compares Russian President Vladimir Putin to former Soviet leader Joseph Stalin.
He doesn't want only Ukraine. He wants to take Poland, he wants to take Germany, he wants to be a king in the world, you know.
Maria Iwanek is also a native of Ukraine. She agrees with Zayats and is disheartened about what's happening to her people.
I'm very sad, and that's not supposed to be, because the Ukraine is a free country and should be free, and Russia is not supposed to occupy or go to our country.
As life goes on in the Ukrainian village, Zayats and Iwanek say their loved ones back home are never far from their thoughts, and all they can do now is pray and hope things change for the better soon. Lauren Lopez, Loyola News Chicago.
Chicago is home to one of the largest Ukrainian populations in the U.S. with over 46,000. The Consul General of Ukraine in Chicago's North River neighborhood has been a center of activities since the protests began. Although the focus in Ukraine has shifted from Kiev to Crimea, which now claims to be part of Russia, the Consul General is still offering help to Chicago Ukrainians.
We haven't yet received any requests from Ukrainian community in Chicago, from particular people who are Ukrainians that live, work, and study in Chicago. But in case if they approach us, we'll do whatever we can to try them to find their relatives who were killed or injured during these events.
The U.S. continues to impose sanctions on key Russian leaders and supporters in response to Russia's annexation of Crimea.
Across the world in Venezuela, political turmoil has been seizing the country for over a month. Protests began within the country after citizens became enraged with policies that failed to fix problems including rising crime, inflation, and shortages of food and basic necessities. The student-led demonstrations have caused the government to use military force to keep order and have left at least 29 dead. The violence has been affecting students in Venezuela and across the world. Loyola student Esther Castillejo lived in Maracaibo, Venezuela for 17 years. She's been in close contact with her sister and friends who still live there during these difficult times.
The protests are led by students, and most of my friends are college students, and most of my friends are in those protests. A lot of my extended family are participating in the protests across the country. So obviously being here, thinking that your friends and family and the people you know and the places where you used to walk around and just like the places you know are filled with people protesting and being violently repressed by both government officials and government-sponsored militias and paramilitary groups, it's like you live in a state of constant fear.
Esther recently wrote a column for the Loyola Phoenix expressing her views on the political unrest and how the protests have affected her.
It's been almost 2 weeks since Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 went missing, and there's still no clear consensus as to what happened. Joe Flaherty found out what one Loyola professor who frequents Malaysia had to say about the incident.
Professor Jameson Chen visits Malaysia once a year for an annual photo festival in Kuala Lumpur. He has flown Malaysia Airlines before, but doesn't believe operational incompetence has anything to do with the plane's disappearance.
Malaysia Airlines has a very good service, and also they claim they're a 5-star or 4-star airlines. I'm pretty much confident of their skills, their capability. I believe this is some level of incident, hopefully. It's not really their technical incompetence.
Chen plans on returning to Malaysia this September. He's not afraid to fly Malaysia Airlines once again. Joe Flaherty, Loyola News Chicago.
A travel agent is quoted in Reuters saying that Malaysia Airlines will need aggressive efforts in rebuilding its trust and reputation.
It's Water Week at Loyola. Find out how our school is replacing the use of plastic.
And which Loyola sport is dominating? Stay with us because you may or may not be surprised.
I got no pulse, so losing.
Charging. He's in main fit.
Shocking. Is it real all the time? Just had a few drinks. Just can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. He'll be fine.
I feel good.
Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving.
Clear.
Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
How you feel? How you feel?
I'm feeling good. Spin me, spin me.
Gotcha.
Oh, goodness.
Nick Amatangelo is here for the latest in Loyola athletics. What do you have for us, Nick?
Thanks, Bridget. Is there a team better than Loyola's men's volleyball team? Coming into Tuesday's game, they were on a 14-game winning streak. The Ramblers put their #1 ranking on the line against the Loyola University Flyers on Tuesday. The Ramblers fell behind 1-0 after a big block from the Flyers. It's the first time Loyola has lost a set in almost a month. But it was smooth sailing for the Ramblers after that. This Cody Caldwell kill gives the Ramblers a 3-1 win. Caldwell finished with a game-high 21 kills. Senior Joe Smalzer is happy to see the payoff from the team's hard work. The Ramblers are coming up on the end of the regular season. The MIVA tournament starts on April 18th. It's all over for the Lady Ramblers. The women's basketball team ended its season in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament last week. Much like the men, the ladies won their first game against Bradley, 75-69. Also like the men, the women took on Indiana State the following day and were unable to keep pace with the Sycamores. The Ramblers fell 77-63. And with the end of conference tournaments, March Madness is on. No Chicago area men's teams made the field, but DePaul made it for the women. They were a little disappointed to receive a 7 seed. Gonzaga, St. Louis, St. Joseph's, and Creighton represent the Jesuits in the men's draw. The women are also represented by St. Joe's and Gonzaga, as well as Fordham. And you know, it is that time of year again. People everywhere are filling out brackets and making their picks. Our own Joe Flaherty checked out how a few Loyola students make their picks for the big dance.
The excitement of Arch Madness has come and gone, and unfortunately so have the Ramblers. But now it's time for March Madness. And even though the Ramblers aren't a part of it, Loyola students are still involved in the spirit. I took the Damon Student Center to see how Loyola fills out their brackets.
Usually, I actually do a lot better when I don't know what's going on in the bracket, but lately I've been following a lot more, looking at the conference tournaments.
12/5, 10/7. Those are my two big ones. I feel like every year there's always a good 12 seed. I know last year Harvard was a 12 seed. They beat a 5.
I don't think you'd be that serious about it. I mean, anything could happen. So, I mean, if you're just a little bit knowledgeable about basketball, maybe you can have the right picks. But
so we know how they're picking their brackets, but who do they got winning it all?
Louisville or Florida, one of those two.
This year I have Kansas. I just think that if I don't know how to pronounce their center's last name, but MG or
I might go with, as of right now, maybe Arizona.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I'm not good at this stuff anyway. All I know is Wichita is going to win. They're going all the way. Joe Flaherty, Loyola University Chicago.
As for me, I couldn't decide between Wichita State or Florida, so I ended up filling up 2 brackets.
Wichita State all the way. You saw them at Arch Madness.
Yes, I did. They were awesome.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Bridget.
Loyola's getting more money from another generous alum. John Schreiber donated $10 million to the Quinlan School of Business this week. The money is being used to help fund the new business school building, which is now appropriately titled Schreiber Hall. The state-of-the-art facility is set to open in August of 2015. Schreiber graduated from the business school in the 60s and still lives in the Chicago area. He has had a 20-year career in real estate and has raised 8 children with his wife, Kathy. Loyola has a new 10-year construction plan that will update existing buildings on campus. While the university has built several new residence halls and facilities in the last 10 years, the next 10 years will be more about improving than expanding, according to a report in the Loyola Phoenix. The updates include renovating Cudahy Library and adding a new athletic practice space. The plan will also replace the Centennial Forum Student Union with either another administrative building or practice courts. The Loyola community is encouraged to review the new draft and offer opinions. You can look at the plan by searching Community Relations at luc.edu.
After the spring 2012 vote that banned the sale of water bottles on campus, water bottle refill stations have taken their place. We have numbers of how many water bottles these new refill stations have replaced. As of March 1st, there have been 285,000 uses at 17 refill stations at the Water Tower campus. At Lakeshore, refills topped 1,587,000 at 38 refill stations as of December 1st. Hallis is the most used refill station on campus. The Institute of Environmental Sustainability is educating Loyolans on water with Water Week. Water Week features events on everything from environmental disasters and water scarcity to new technologies that help conserve water. Students can visit this Water Week photography exhibit in the Information Commons.
Coming up, how Loyola women are trying to change herstory.
And where students are getting bags of free kettle corn? Stay tuned.
There are so many fun things we all can do to be healthier, no matter who you are or where you are. So let's move.
Well, here we go.
Let's stretch in the grass.
What a play!
Let's play tag.
Wow, unbelievable.
Let's jump up and down.
Oh, what a way to finish it.
And most of all, let's eat better so that we have the energy we need to play an hour a day, every day.
Everyone can play. Just go to letsmove.gov to learn more.
Who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Maybe you should go to your shelter and get a mature dog who will make your blues disappear. How's that for tricks? I got picked. Wow.
Emily Olson is here to tell us about one celebration this March.
Thanks, Megan. March is Women's History Month, and Loyola's Gannon Scholars put together a herstory event that celebrated Loyola's own women leaders.
The Gannon Scholars present Herstory, featuring Athletic Director Carolyn O'Connell, Diversity and Multicultural Affairs Coordinator Paige Gardner, and Sister Jean Schmidt. They shared reflections on their careers and women in leadership roles. Gannon Scholar and Event Coordinator Wynn Coughlin said it was a diverse panel of women leaders.
But I didn't think about this initially, was the difference in age. I didn't think about it until I actually saw them all up there and was like, whoa, you've got a woman in her 20s, a woman somewhere in the middle, and Sister Jean, who's 94.
The Gannon Scholars host an event for Women's History Month each year. The Gannon Scholars are a program that works with students during their entire college career, developing women's leadership and upholding the legacy of Mundelein College at Loyola. Coughlin thinks the program has been a great learning experience.
In that way, we are a very diverse group. We're all over the board on everything. And that's great, but it also is incredibly challenging in a way that I think nothing else really has been. I actually can't imagine college without it.
Emily Olson, Loyola News Chicago.
Women's History Month events continue throughout March nationwide.
Even Sister Jean was there.
Yes,
Thanks, Emily.
the best part.
Today marks an important day at Loyola. We are highlighting our donors by giving out a free snack and toy. Kristen Jones finds out the significance of Wolf and Kettle Day.
Free food.
So what are bags of kettle corn and stuffed wolves doing at Loyola? We talked to volunteers to find out why.
So the Wolf and Kettle story is the Loyola family that was royalty. They gave food to the different people in the town, and that there's so many resources left that they also gave it to the animals, and that's why we have the statue over next to Damon.
Well, today is Wolf and Kettle Day, which is a recognition of the fact that 70% of our academic expenses at Loyola are covered by tuition dollars, and so the other 30% are actually covered by donor donations, whether it's alumni or friends of the university. And so now we're 70% of the way through the school year, and so this is symbolically kind of a day of giving recognition to the donors who make the other 30%, the rest of the academic experience at Loyola here possible.
This is significant for me because I'm actually on a scholarship, so my education is largely paid for by these alumni donors and these non-alumni donors.
So don't worry if you missed out on your free bag of kettle corn this year. Volunteers will be here next year too, because Wolf and Kettle Day is an annual event. You can also get a stuffed wolf as long as you write a thank you note to our donors. Kristen Jones, Loyola News Chicago.
Eminem, Kings of Leon, Skrillex, and the Arctic Monkeys will be headlining Chicago's Summer Music Fest, Lollapalooza, this year. Though Lollapalooza hasn't officially released its full lineup, the Chicago Tribune reports it plans to host 100 bands. The summer will be the 10th Lollapalooza festival. Last year, 300,000 people attended the festival.
Finally, if you love the Cubs, here's a chance to permanently show your colors. To celebrate Wrigley Field's 100th anniversary, the Central Lakeview Merchants Association is offering Wrigley Field tattoos for free. The association is joining forces with the Chicago Tattoo and Piercing Company, who will host the event from noon to midnight on Thursday. The first 12 people to book an appointment will get the free ink, but as of Thursday afternoon, all 12 appointments were filled. But for you Northsiders who regret your White Sox tattoos, you're in luck. On Thursday, you can have them removed for free at Tattoo Removal Centers of America. The offer is limited to 12, and as of Thursday afternoon, all 12 spots were open.
I don't know why you'd want to get a White Sox tattoo removed.
I would. I definitely
You have a Tigers tattoo, don't you?
I have no tattoo.
Yeah,
So that's our newscast for today. Thanks for watching.
Even though spring has arrived, we woke up to snow. We'll see you next week and hope for better weather.